all light industrial. This is the section that we're contemplating. This is all light industrial. Out here is urban ag. So,
what is the red?
The dark red in there is urban residential. This is UMR.
And the gray, all the gray?
All the gray is light industrial.
Terry, does that resolve your question?
Yeah, I was pretty, like I said, I was pretty well, I had it in my mind how to vote, but now seeing all these signatures and all that,
I have a question.
Just a minute, please, ma'am. While we've got Jason and this up, any questions for the rest of the commissioners on this projection?
Will it pertain to the projection?
Please, Mr. Chadwick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Jason, the southern border of the proposed light industrial borders on light industrial.
That's correct.
And immediately across the highway is light industrial.
That's correct.
And the eastern end is light industrial.
That's correct.
Thank you. Any further questions for Jason?
how many of you all live out there?
We're still in opposition so that they can additionally come to speak with questions and identify themselves, okay? At this stage, I would ask those of you that are up front to move back into the audience, please. Now, I'm going to ask again, if somebody had a question, speaking in opposition, if you would like to.
I'm not speaking in opposition, but I just want to ask a question of all of you guys. If you look at this map, when was this created? 2014, 2013? Show me a map of what it looked like 10 years ago. Show me a map of what it looked like 20 years ago. And show me a map of what it looked like 50 years ago. And then let's see what...
Madam, we can't do that, but could we have your name and address?
Yes, my name is Deb Rogers, and I live at 10075 North Osage Road. But I'm just concerned about these citizens here. We're talking about a broad spectrum here, so if it used to be residential, why is it now light industrial? That's just my question.
Thank you. For the second time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to zone change 14-2.
Jimmy Jones, 335 North 8 Mile. I don't have a dog in the fight in this, but to answer Mr. Chadwick's question, the property to the south belonged to Forestburg. Okay, and I was in that meeting that day when they changed the zone on it. Forestburg did say that he wasn't going to sell that land, that he was going to live on it and build a barn for himself. Well, when Mr. Tyler went to him and decided they want the other half of that section, that's what's happening. Okay, they're inching in with their light industrial and they're squeezing these people out. And evidently people are getting really tired of it. With this being an election year, I would suggest you guys quit getting in bed with these developers a little bit and start getting on board with your voters. Thank you.
Thank you. For the second time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the zone change to please approach the record, state your name and address.
I'm Paul Pat, my 781 Cherokee Lane. I don't have any property out there, but I was out there looking at this property today. Tried to compare it to some pictures that I pulled off the web. And the picture they showed showing east, I can't even figure out where it's at. On this piece of property, which is actually two pieces of property the way I'm understanding it, you have residential adjacent to the north, adjacent to the south, and directly across the road. There are two houses right across the road, and then just south of there, Anderson Pit, I believe it is. That's right in there. I guess what I would say on this, the way I'm looking at the map, the larger piece of property that's in the back towards the west, I call the back further off of Salt Creek, it's actually kind of an L shape the way it's showing on the map that actually comes out and meets Salt Creek as well, if I'm understanding this right. So I guess what I'm saying is that it would make more sense to me that if you decide to go through with doing a zoning change here, to see it, I mean, is it possible that you could just change the zoning on that rear piece there that's not right next to the houses up by the road, and allow them to develop that portion? And perhaps they can either bring their roadway in during that lake, that little dog lake that comes out to Salt Creek, or they're not that far from Kersal Lake, which already has plenty of truck traffic, because North Park Transport's back in there. Maybe they could come in from the south off of Kersal into that property, something like that. I guess I'm saying I'm speaking in opposition to doing the entire thing, but as a compromise, possibly doing the back section and not doing the 6 acres out there right by the road. It would be closer to the houses.
Okay. Questions? Thank you very much. For the second time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to please approach the lectern.
Hi, I'm Grace Colpitz, and I don't live real
Your
close.
address?
Oh, 2737 Andrea.
Thank you.
And could you speak in the mic?
Grace Colpitz. And when you had the map up there that had the little bit of red along the edge, and then the other two, you have a big hunk of gray, and I don't know what those properties are zoned, but houses exist all the way along there.
Yep.
I mean, that's all people's houses. You've got a big-
I understand that.
Okay.
Jason, I think you indicated that was urban mixed residential.
That's
But
correct.
there's along that back side, away from Salt Creek,
Right,
that long straight line, that's all houses.
right. And that is what the nature of the zoning is. Urban mixed residential is
Yeah,
mixed
but for how long?
residential and commercial houses and
But along that whole line, there's no industrial there. That's all houses,
the
from
question
one
is
end to the other.
relative to, I understand.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, ask Jason a question.
Certainly.
While you stand there. Jason, can we, I guess we can about do anything we want, but how would you restrict certain businesses from going in there? Would that come under this, just a site plan or what? I mean, like
I
a
don't think you
24-hour business, like a lot of truck traffic or whatever, it could be done that we could restrict what kind of businesses would go in there, or?
Yeah, please do.
I guess that's an attorney question.
Well, I think as Mr. Tyler mentioned, if you change the zoning to light industrial, there's certain uses that will be permitted and certain that will be conditional. If you have an applicant that comes in with a use that's one of our conditional uses, they'll have to go through this process. They'll have to go through a planning and zoning hearing and then through a hearing before you, and then you can decide then whether or not that type of business that's being applied for is appropriate for the property.
Madam Attorney, relative to the fact that we're going to see a subdivision plan on this at some time in the next three, is that subdivision plan also not have to be approved by you?
I have to defer to Jason, I'm not sure about that.
You're correct, Mr. Chairman. The subdivision plan would go before planning and zoning and ultimately before the Board of County Commissioners. And Chairman, that would be a time that you could, I believe, make conditions on approval of the subdivision on what types of businesses would be allowed or not allowed in that particular subdivision.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions for Jason?
Yeah. So Jason, from that green up there, that's the subject property.
Right here,
From there south is all light industrial.
that's correct.
And from there on the east side is all light industrial. All of the gray on this map. So it's just about surrounded.
Except for that man's
Except
house.
to the north on Forbes Road, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 properties to the north on Forbes Road.
And kitty corner, you do have some urban ag, I believe that is, or your UA catty corner.
Oh,
Just on the
stripe.
across the corner.
Okay, so down on what are those road names to the south? There's some houses in that, and it's light industrial, right?
That's correct, a residence is allowed in light industrial.
So there are residents in light industrial right now.
That's correct.
So if the developer comes up with a plan, I mean, he could go either to a trucking company or sell it to housing, either way.
Same with residence is allowed in light industrial.
Mr. Chadwick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we may need Keith to answer a couple of these questions that I have. Do you know where exactly on that property the road would be that he's intending?
I'm going to zoom in a little closer.
Okay.
Don't hold me to exact, but in general, the location is going to be right here.
North end or south? It'll be on the,
It'll be, this is,
I think you're on the south end of the property, the road will be right.
Is that the bottom of the L? Middle of the L?
That's correct. What's this? That's that's not where the
No.
I've got confused with that. Looks like it was all the same piece. So this is the Forsberg piece that we own now. This is the Boyce piece, part of which we're acquiring. There's a piece here the Boyces are keeping, that they want to have rezoned light industrial as well. And the road is going to go approximately right there.
Okay, so that's the bottom part.
Okay.
So from the road is going to be about an equal distance from the back of Boyce property as it is from the back of the Forsberg property. Does that make sense?
Yes. But it would be fairly easy, I would think, to ask those businesses to face that road.
Well, they will face that road. That makes no sense when your business
Right.
not to be facing the
Okay.
road.
And would a buffer zone be possible?
When we present our subdivision, we can incorporate that as part of the process.
And how would you feel about that between the Forbes Road people and the industrial area, about a buffer zone, a 50 or 100-foot buffer?
Okay, let's move that picture down a little bit more where you got the subdivision, the Forbes subdivision over on top of it.
That'd be the other way.
Yeah.
You want me to go the other way, north?
Yeah, north. Okay, right there, and you're looking at that. There you go. All right, my property is right back. Right back in there.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Latimer's place is right back next to me. You're street high, that's Blair. On the street high? Yeah.
Good teamwork, guys.
That's right.
Yeah, down there.
Yeah, that's where you are. Okay, that's right.
Those houses along here, Forbes Road comes up to them, so that's the Forsberg place.
Okay, and just a question, what you got there?
No, it's down here. Forsberg place was right down there.
There it is.
Scoggin.
Okay.
That was all light agriculture and residential when my folks and I were moved out there, okay? I realized, yeah, you've got to understand that. But when they started mentioning light agriculture, then it changed again from light agriculture to light industrial. And then they had 3 divisions. During the time I living out there. Okay, they could put in Forbes Road there, that back bottom corner there. Everybody on that side of the road said they wished to be let alone residential. Because the fact that when you get the commercial and light industrial in there, and the bigger places like you see down on the Nona down there, then you start having that come to town, try to make their living. And the guys working for them, it ain't their fault. So they work 24 hours a day, it's noisy around here. We can hear them, they're over on the And that's why I got issues together. We don't want anything like that at all in this segment. In this plan, we don't want that.
Okay.
We don't want any.
I appreciate it. For the second time, I will ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the zone change, to please approach the lectern with your name and address.
Frank Latimer, item 2613 Forbes. This property is right on my back fence, and across that lot is North Park, which is probably a quarter mile away. And I don't have a problem with that. But if North Park was up against my fence, I'd have a problem with that, because they go all night. And I don't particularly would like to have trucks running in my backyard all night. I can still hear them at night from my house. And it would be a lot worse if that was changed. And Lord knows what is going to come in there. Now the land developer, for as much as he knows, he doesn't even really know where the road's going to be. I think that they know a little more, and you guys know a little more about what's going in there, and you're not going to say nothing, because it's not your backyard.
That's not right.
If it was in your backyard, you'd want to know, regardless. If it was a cemetery, I would want to know. The developer lives on Center Street. What is he? He doesn't care what goes on out there. He lives on Center Street. And I'll guarantee you, if you lived on Forbes, you would not want this change. Lord knows what you... If they want to put a cemetery in there, that's fine. They're not going to make much noise. But if you get a trucking company in there, some sort of crusher, and all the rest of that, those big businesses, they're a half a mile down the road, north. I don't care. But let's leave these three roads here. They're full of residents. Leave them alone. We don't want your stuff in there. And like this gal here said, why don't you start paying attention to what the people want and not what you want? And not what the people with big money want. Listen to the people. This is a democracy until Obama changes it. But until then, you got to listen to what the people say. And I don't want it. And I mean, most people in here don't.
Mr. Labor, thank you. For the second time, I will ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to this zone change to please approach the lectern.
Kurt Simpson, 9695 Osage. I'm not necessarily directly involved with this property. I understand what the residents are talking about. I'm a good mile and a half from the interstate, and on most nights, you can hear them just as clear as day. Just better than you can hear me without this microphone. You're talking right in your backyard. There ain't no way you want that anywhere near your house. He's a quarter of a mile from North Park and says it doesn't bother him. And their hearing's not very good or they're not very loud. Quarter of a mile and hear a dog bark further than that. You really need to think about where you're putting businesses in people's yard, residences. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nope.
For the second time, I will ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to please approach the lectern. Give your name and address, please.
Jim Forkey, at a house on Walcott. and I have a ranch out on Ormsby Road. So I'm a little bit above, best of both worlds. And I do oppose this. We have land, and I'm not really sure. My husband's the map reader, not me. But we do lease and own some land out off Melody Lane, I think is how you get into it. And I agree with these people. I know where our ranch is. We're seeing the city lights coming down, big wind turbines. I don't mind it, and I know it's coming. But, you know, it's like they say, a lot of sweat and tears have gone into their homes and been in their families for generations. And I don't know, I never got a letter. I kind of just put this together tonight. We run sheep out there. It's a fence out state. So our sheep do get into Farmer Brothers Coffee and a lot of those businesses in through there. And I don't know, I don't want to.
Okay,
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, ma'am, I've got a question for you. My house actually sits where the Seaway Ranch house was. They tore it down, and in 1957 they built my house. Okay, yeah. So I got a, we don't have a map from 50 years ago or 70 years ago, but I've got to ask the question, what would Casper look like if Mr. Casey, a rancher, didn't allow the development that we have today?
No, I agree.
That's all. You don't have to answer.
Things I'm like you, I'm out of town. I don't mind progression, technology, and things to grow, but I just think you really need to do it right and weigh all the
Make a buffer zone minimum.
thank you. For the second time, I'm going to ask those individuals in opposition to the zone change, please approach the lectern, state your name and address.
My name is George Pridham. I live at 3074 Home Mills Road. I believe that all 5 of you gentlemen took an oath of office when you weren't you sworn in as county commissioners? You don't have to answer me, just I want you to think about this. And in most things that I've ever heard done, when we're sworn in to do public service, we're to serve and protect. Is that not so? And what I tried to ask you before, and I said it very harshly, and I was wrong in the way I said it. But we need you to be thinking of all the big things about tax dollars, about people's lives, about jobs that might be provided. I've talked both sides of the fence already on this one little simple thing. But for God's sakes, please think about what you swore to when you took an oath of office to be county commissioners. Please. And remember, you're supposed to serve and protect all these people in this room. These 3 ladies right here that work for you, the 2 gentlemen with the sheriff's department behind us. You're here to serve and protect. You're the highest entity of our county, Natrona County. It's up to you guys to be so smart that you don't screw up. And we all know that you're human, and there's going to be things happen at times. But on something like this, where people have lived places for 20 and 30 and 40 years, for God's sakes, think about your oath as your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. For the second time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to please approach the lectern.
Do you want me to sign in?
Train down the line. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Winger. Janelle Moore, 161 Indian Paintbrush. In respects to you, Mr. Kane, really respect you, but you were asking the question, what would Casper look like? The fact is that people that live in rural communities do so because they don't want the noise. They don't want the businesses
they want it quiet. So please remember that when you're here tonight making your changes. And that's it.
Thank you. For the second time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition, please approach the lectern.
Honey D. Cropsey, 940 Waterford. I visit out on Forbes Road, and that is a country atmosphere out there. I understand why the people would not want industrial right next to their property. So I would appreciate it if you would keep that in mind and consider the residents there. Thank you.
Thank you. For the second time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to this zone change to please approach the lectern.
Council, my name is Linda Bergeron, 2352 South Coughlin Avenue. David and Kathy Phillips are very, very good friends of ours. And Dave's heart and soul is in this property. He loves it dearly, as evidenced by that petition. And I want you to realize how important this is to him. And those property owners, please consider that. Weigh it. Balance and justice here. Weigh it properly. And again, do remember your oath of office. Your oath is to follow the Constitution of Wyoming. I hope you look at it often. My concern is a promise has been made and not kept. Your planning and zoning, I know your name well, but I can't think of it at the moment.
Tillman?
Yes, George Tillman. He has attested that, so is Judy Jones. It did happen. A promise has been made and not kept. Okay, and then Forrest, I have heard you in the county commission speak about the heavy truck traffic out there, and it has been a note of grave concern. And you have said something must be done. And you have talked about rerouting the traffic and how that needs to be done. So what we have is a specific amount currently. You need to look at the future, adding more light industrial. Issues need to be addressed, not in hindsight, but looking forward. I just hear your voice in my mind addressing the issue. And so I would ask you to remember that. The traffic and the toll it takes on the roads. We have a country road. I know the toll that occurs from heavy truck traffic. So I ask you all to consider that. But mostly, I would ask you to weigh heavily that petition because you do serve the people. Government is put in place to protect private property rights. Otherwise, we have no need for government. Government is put in place to protect private property rights. So please weigh your decision very heavily, and please don't just snap to a yes or no. Please use your heart and soul in this one, please. Thank you.
Take a question from me, Ms. Bergeron.
Yes.
We've heard a lot from you over time, protecting the private property rights. I'm absolutely amazed that you would come up and suggest that you're opposed to this property owner developing his property as he wants to do. It seems totally opposite to all the issues that you have brought forward to us time and time and time again.
Did I not just state that a promise has been made and
Yep.
not kept?